What is up, guys? Welcome to the Daily Exchange. My name is Harry Tucker, filling in again today for Fred Shabesta. He's out for the week, so I guess you're stuck with me. On today's show, we have big updates from the Ledger and Trezor hardware wallets. We have Finder.com's weekly coin analysis. There's been a big Bancor security breach, and there's been $42 million of Ontology airdrop on Neo. We got Block.One assessing more control over EOS, Stellar and the Australian government linking up with a deal there. There's so much coming up, so stick around because it's all coming up right now. Now, first up, we have news that decentralized crypto exchange Bancor has been hacked, and attackers have made off with about $12.5 million in Aetherium, $1 million in Pundi X, and $10 million in Bancor's BNT token. Now, a wallet that was being used to upgrade some smart contracts was compromised, and this is how the hackers got in. So no users' wallets were affected, no funds were actually stolen except from the Bancor network itself. Now, we've got a screenshot here with some of the quotes from Bancor, and what they've said is that once the theft was identified, we were able to freeze the stolen BNT, limiting the damage to the Bancor ecosystem from the theft. The ability to freeze tokens was built into the Bancor protocol to be used in an extreme situation such as this to recover from a security breach, allowing Bancor to effectively stop the thief from running away with these stolen tokens. Now, it's not possible to freeze ETH or any other stolen tokens. However, this has stopped what's happening with the BNT. Now, next we have top coins right now, and there's lots of red across the top 10. If we can pull up the screen and our heat map here, we can have a look at, it's just like a bloodbath. ETH is down 3.6, Ripple down 2%, Bitcoin Cash down 2.67. It is an absolute bloodbath. USDT is keeping its stable nature there. What else have we got? Bitcoin Gold is up 1.2%, keeping it there a little bit as well, but again, it's red across the board. Bitcoin is currently trading at $6,755, and some analysts are suggesting that if it does manage to break that $6,800 resistance mark, then $7,000 could be a realistic term within the near term. Now, Aetherium, after sniffing around but struggling to get to 500, has tumbled back to $465. So we can have a little look at its chart there. It's done about 1.6 billion volume. Price is down, and yeah, we're looking at about 466.50. The forked Bitcoin Diamond token saw the sharpest decline in the last 24 hours of all coins in the top 100, and it's down over 30%. Now, if we want to take a look at EOS, EOS is getting hammered. It's down over 10%. It's down about 11%. Again, if we look at this the heat map here, it's trading at about $7.63. It's the volumes at 780 million, and yeah, 11.3%. It's down. Meanwhile, Block.One, which controls 10% of EOS tokens, has said it will be taking a more active role in governance and selecting block producers going forward. Now, some have expressed concern about this centralized approach, which at the very least makes Block.One the loudest voice in the room. And as it is, just a small fraction of EOS wallets control the majority of supply. So to sort it all out, Block.One has proposed a brand new constitution, which means if you're trading or holding EOS, definitely make sure you take a look at what's going there and do your research around everything to do with EOS and to see if this is still an investment for you and the future of the token, and particularly Block.One, the company which essentially controls the whole ecosystem itself. Now, moving on to Stellar. Now, the Stellar token has spent the week consolidating and is slightly down in the last 24 hours. And the project, though, has been picking up some solid wins. Now, you may have heard that one of Stellar's strategic partners, IBM, has won a $750 million US dollar, which is about $1 billion Australian dollars contract with blockchain, AI, and quantum infrastructure from the Australian government. Now, further, it's believed that IBM, which will be using Stella's tech, will also be part of a new Australian welfare payments project. Now, this is a pretty landmark deal that's genuinely exciting for blockchain advocates. But it's also worth noting that only 2 years ago, IBM pretty much bungled Australia's whole 2016 national consensus. Census fail was everywhere, and it was pretty much all squared down to IBM. Now, which ultimately meant that they had to pay $30 million back to the government. But how quickly does the government forget in these situations? Now next, let me take a look at Ripple. Ripple is still sitting around 47 cents right now. Look back at the chart, so it's 46.7 cents. And news with XRP is that the Indian exchange, DAX, has added Ripple, Bitcoin, and Ethereum trading pairs. The move to crypto trade, also on ZebPay, Unicoin, and others, comes after the fiat funds cut off when the Reserve Bank of India banned banking relationships with exchanges. Now, Indian users who don't have crypto already now have to trade in their rupees via workarounds such as peer-to-peer exchanges. Next, we have Augur. The Augur blockchain predictions platform has now officially launched its main network. Good on them, finally. Now, after one of the earliest ICO crowd sales on the Ethereum blockchain back in 2015, now Augur has one of the most generous bug bounties around. It's offering up to $200,000 for spotting and fixing major vulnerabilities. Now, the network's migration is automatic, so existing rep token holders don't need to do anything. But it's worth reading through the deployment notes on their Medium post around how this works. And Cardano. Now, Cardano's token price continues its recent slow slide, even as Charles Hoskinson, the co-founder of Ethereum, one of the co-founders of Ethereum and Cardano, ran an Reddit Ask Me Anything discussing his private meeting with Google in June. Now, Hoskinson told the summit that Google, like Microsoft and Apple and Facebook, is just going to go its own way and do its own thing at the high level, but there are also opportunities for collaboration. And if Google has some ideas or Cardano has some ideas that make sense, then of course companies like Google are going to pursue that. Cardano is using Google technology in its stack. Now, Electron is actually a fork of Chromium. Chromium, of course, is what the Chrome web browser is based on. And it's also stitched together with the Node. And that is the heart of Cardano's wallet, Daedalus. And there's also a lot of other little things that Google has worked on in the past that Cardano pulled into their tech stack, legitimately because they're good ideas. Next, we have NEO. Now, this weekend, the NEO token owners who qualify by having held NEO on March 1 will begin to receive their share of the 10 million Ontology tokens in an airdrop worth $42 million. Built on the NEO blockchain, Ontology is a trust network designed to be operated across multiple blockchains, providing identity verification and reputation management systems to suit a diverse range of industries. Back in February, the first airdrop saw the price of the NEO token jump about 15% in just 24 hours. Another thing to look for is that next week is also the start of Ontology's token migration to its own mainnet. Now, speaking of token milestones and events coming up in the weeks ahead, let's take a look at the calendars that Finder puts together and updates recently. Now, there's a few here. So if we take a look on Finder now, there's a few ones coming up. We've got Waves flagship conference. Actually, that was last weekend. But we're coming up. We got Bytecoin's mainnet testnet release. I'll zoom in a little bit so it's easy to read. Ethereum Classic's got an airdrop. Then we got the Waves continuing their roadshow in Berlin. Bitcoin Diamonds jumping on the Litecoin network. This is all just at the end of coming up at the end of the month. There's a lot of testnet launches that are coming up. Redesign websites. I don't know how important that is. This is all in August. Yeah, there's quite a bit coming up. This is all events coming on the top technical levels in crypto. If we want to take a look at what other events are happening actually in the in blockchain events in this week. The main ones, we've got Korean Blockchain Week, which is next week. We've got a few people from Finder actually there. I think Fred's going to be there. Brad from HiveX is also going to be there as well. So there's quite a bit happening there. We've got World Blockchain Conference also in Singapore. Beyond Blocks is also running as part of the Korean Blockchain Week. Block.One is also in Bahrain. Now, the big one, of course, is the Korean Blockchain Week. And this is going to be the first Korean Blockchain Week that they've run with the intention of exploring everything blockchain and position in the future. And, you know, speakers like Michael Novogratz and many more are going to be there. It's a 4-day expo and is going to be in Seoul and exploring the world there. Of course, Korea is freaking massive in the crypto world. It's a bit of a kingmaker in terms of what happens with prices depending on what happens there. But we'll have a look at this the weekly coin analysis now. Now we'll take a deep dive into these coins actually and what we think is going to happen. Each week, the Finder team, Vicky, Rosie, all those guys, they put together this awesome guide that you can check out on Finder. But basically puts together an analysis of what's happened and what's going to happen. Now, there's a few key callouts this week, including 64% of coins saw an increase in price week on week, 10% increase in total volume traded, up to 99.3 billion. Sakura Bloom's price increased the most, up 291%. Pure saw the greatest decrease in price, down 82%. And out of the top 100 coins, Digibyte saw the biggest percentage increase at 58%. There's quite a lot here. There's a lot more information than we've got time to talk about on the show. But yeah, if you want to jump on to finder.com.au and check out our weekly coin analysis. Every week we've got this, and there's a lot of information there about what's happening in the market. We've also got now some updates from Trezor and Ledger. So Trezor and Ledger are pretty much the two biggest players when it comes to hardware storage to keep your crypto safe. And that's why we take notice when there's actually key product updates to either of these guys. Now, firstly, a bunch of Trezor updates have come in recent days, including support for a new range of coins. This includes Lisk, Bitcoin Private, Zcoin, and Dogecoin. I love Doge. So this is a bit of a tangent. Dogecoin's kind of like the first thing that got me into crypto. This is back when you could actually mine things on anything, and it's now the thing that I actually hold the most of, simply because when I was in it would have been 2009, so I was in year 10, we were mining, we had school netbooks, and we actually mined Dogecoin in classes. And you could just do it in netbooks back then. This is so, if only I had the forward sight then to try and use my crappy little school netbook to mine some Bitcoin and then hold on to it. But anyway, little tangent. Trezor is also working on its own upcoming Aetherium wallet. Other features added to Trezor's gear include the ability to export trade history as a PDF and improvements to the conversion calculation in fiat, of course, with the cryptocurrencies held in their wallet. Now, for its part, Ledger has launched Ledger Live, a new companion app that runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Now, we'll take a look at how this works now. Yeah. Looks pretty cool, that one. I actually just bought myself a different one yesterday for my funds. It's called the Cool Wallet S. A bit more expensive, but one to check out as well. It's actually really small, and it fits into you actually use it into a card, and like, fits into your wallet. Like, it's literally the size of a credit card, and it's Bluetooth, so you can connect to your phone as well. But you can find all of this stuff. Like, if you're still comparing wallets, like the Cool Wallet, the Trezor, the Ledger, go on our website, finder.com, where we have reviews, comparisons, and more of those. If you want to hit me up on Twitter as well, at Finder or at Harry Tucker, we can help you out with some advice. But yeah, check out finder.com. We've got heaps of stuff there. But now I want to have a time to looking at new segment we'd like to call Devil on Your Shoulder, where we take one recent pro-crypto statement from a prominent analyst and contrast that with the cold, harsh view from another analyst or institution who's not so much of a crypto fan. Now, first up, we have Thomas Lee, who's the managing partner and the head of research of Fundstrat Global Advisors, who has long been bullish on Bitcoin. However, this week he has reduced his forecast for the price of Bitcoin at the end of 2018 to $22,000, which is down from $25,000. So it's about $3,000 less is what he's predicted. Now, Thomas has also said he'd still take Bitcoin over Ethereum due to ETH's competition. Now, meanwhile, in the red corner, we have the head of the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, Augustin Carstens, again reinforcing that organizations claim that crypto is inadequate as money, suggesting that cryptocurrency is instead a form of investment or an asset. In a recent interview with the Swiss regional newspaper, Carstens argues that cryptocurrencies are a bubble, a Ponzi scheme, and an environmental disaster. Now, doubling down, Carstens added, glance back into the past and you will see that creating gold or money from nothing has been a regular obsession. It never worked. So my message to young people would be, stop trying to create money. Now, next, we're going to take a look at what's been somewhat of a controversial video on Netflix, new series called Explained from the team at Vox Media. And back in June, they did a cryptocurrency episode. Now, take a look at this trailer now from it, and we'll get into it after that and take a look at what people have been saying about this episode.
In 2010, when one Bitcoin was worth 6 cents, 50 Bitcoin would have been just enough for a fancy cup of coffee. At its peak in 2017, those same Bitcoin would have been worth $850,000. That's an expensive cup of coffee.
Now, Joel, if you want to bring up the tweets now from what people have been saying about this, but so there's quite a lot to look at now. I think it's pretty great that it's been sort of brought into the mainstream and presented this way. I'm a massive fan of how Vox works and how they present information, and Explained is actually generally a pretty good series. But as you can see here, there's quite a bit of criticism. Now, the biggest one there, Jamison Lopp says that most Bitcoin he believes that most Bitcoin is spent on illegal services, is what Explained allegedly said. The Byzantine general's problem is about being able to transact privately. Satoshi invented the blockchain. All cryptocurrencies use blockchains. Now, if you actually, so I watched this episode, I thought it was really great. And some of these things are sort of just where I find a bit of a problem with the crypto community itself is we get so freaking defensive about like anything that's explained like 1% less accurate than what it is. Now, these people are, complaining about how things are presented that way, and the idea is that these media outlets, if you've worked in media, you understand that it's trying to explain complex topics to people who don't understand it is very hard. And this is essentially what the basis of Vox is. So you got all these people who are getting all of it, they're getting frustrated and flustered about how this is represented on Explain and by Vox because it's too simplistic for them, or all these analogies that are used don't completely agree with how they feel about it. But these types of analogies and these really simplistic ways of explaining things are crucial to getting crypto and getting the idea of it from our little world of crypto into the mainstream world. And there were some very valid points that were raised into it, like the scalability of certain blockchains. And as much as we want to deny that that things are not being used for criminal activity, and it's definitely not the main reason, I know it shits everyone when this is talked about, this is used for criminal activity. Look at this, those online drug markets are still being used. And this is, of course, a worthy thing to still talk about. Just like how the government is in Australia is cracking down on the usage of cash for large transactions to crack down on money laundering. Like, this is a thing that's been talked about in fiat currencies and things as well, not just crypto. It's an issue that's there and it's an issue that needs to be tackled. And this was just one small part of the show, but it is something that is there. But the core point of it was to explain it in a really simple terms to a mainstream audience. And I personally think that's done. And this sort of outrage that the crypto community gets over just some slight differences and things they don't believe in on the show just kind of needs to stop. If you guys wanted to get it, get this into the mainstream and get more people into it, more money into it, you've got to be accepting to teach people and understand that the level of knowledge isn't quite there, and shows like this are what gets it there. But anyway, that's it for the show today, guys. On behalf of Joel, Danny, and the Crypto Finder team, I am Harry Tucker. Check out our social channels, Crypto Finder TV. In the meantime, happy to answer any questions you got, have a chat, everything about anything you've got in the crypto world. But that's it again today. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.